So as well as myself speaking today, we also have Cohen and Marion from DGMR in the Netherlands, who are one of our fantastic well performance testing organisations. Unfortunately, BHO wasn't able to join us today, but we look forward to hearing from Cohen and Marion a little later. So today I'm just going to have a quick look at the Healthy Buildings movement and a bit of an introduction to the Well Building Standard and what it involves, and then an intro into performance verification before handing over to DGMR to carry on. So the idea of healthy buildings has been around for a while now. I'm sure it's something you've all come across. The Well Building Standard really aspires to provide and enhance these healthy buildings for everyone. Believes that healthy buildings gives powerful opportunities for health promotion for the occupants of the building. So that's really what it is all about. It's about the people and providing opportunities for people to thrive and for people to flourish within these buildings. I'm sure you've all seen this fact before, that most of us spend about 90% of our time indoors. Do any of you know what that 90% figure actually equates to in time, in minutes and hours? Has anyone given that a thought? So if we were going to spend 90% of our time today indoors, that means we still need to spend just under 2.5 hours of our time today outside to get this 90% indoors. So there's every chance you're spending a lot more than 90% of your time indoors. So that really shows that the indoor environment has a huge impact on our health and well-being. And it means that our health really begins at home and at work and in all of the spaces that we frequent on a daily basis. So what determines our state of health? Researchers at the CDC found that actually physical and social environment has a much larger impact on the state of our health than you may consider. It has a greater impact than genetics, medical care, and even our lifestyle and health behaviours and choices. So it's really impactful. But by changing these environments, we can change how we live. Because the buildings where we live, work, learn and relax profoundly impact upon our health, our well-being and our productivity. So that is the ultimate goal of our buildings and communities, is to create this positive human experience. And another fact that you're probably familiar with is this other 90%, what we spend on our staff. So looking at our staff salaries and benefits, and the much greater impact that can be seen when you invest in staff as opposed to energy. So there's huge financial considerations here and a huge potential in cost savings. So if you are able to increase your staff's productivity, reduce absenteeism and staff turnover, you really have a business case for having a healthy and well building. So now we'll look at well in a little bit more detail. So for better buildings, well positions building design and operations as agents of public health. Well measures, verifies and monitors building features that impact health and well-being. And well is a holistic system by addressing the design elements, operations, and looking at the behaviour and ways that we can impact on people's behaviour. You really have a holistic system. And this is a great definition of health by the World Health Organization. Health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. So to reflect all of this, the Well Building Standard is split into 10 different concepts, which we have here. We have air, water, nourishment, light, movement, thermal comfort, sound, materials, mind and community. And I'm just going to go through those really quickly with you this morning. So first up we have the air concept. This includes features related to filtration, ventilation, pollution management, amongst others. And this is one of the concepts where performance testing is required as part of the certification process. Next up we have water. If you're all drinking your 2 to 3 litres of water a day, you want to make sure that your water is of an exceptional quality and that it's easily accessible as well. And next up is nourishment. This is about encouraging healthier eating options. So well-certified projects are required to offer fruit and vegetables within the buildings. And so by removing cues and changing this environment, we're trying to support a change in behaviour. It's been shown that increased availability of fresh fruit at work sites has been shown to improve fruit and vegetable consumption at work and at home, showing that individuals are taking these healthy habits home with them. And on to the next concept, which is light. Maximising daylight is something that WELL really places focus on. There have been a number of studies that show the positive effect of daylight on health and productivity, and the World Green Building Council reports that focused work increased by 15% for occupants who had window views. Next up is movement. This aims to promote active living and try and move away from those sedentary habits that many of us have. By promoting movement within the building, providing active furnishings and spaces for physical activity. Next up is thermal comfort. It is about optimal design and operations of the HVAC system, but it's also about catering for people's temperature preferences. So there's always someone in the office who wears a t-shirt regardless of the weather, right? And there'll be someone else the other end of the office with a scarf and a gloves and a hot water bottle. Not everyone feels comfortable at the same temperature, and an office that is too hot or too cold has shown to cause a drop in productivity of up to 9%. Next up is sound, and if you've ever worked in a noisy space, you know how impactful it can be. It can be distracting, it can be stressful, and it's really important to look at the way that these buildings are designed and the way that materials for surfaces, floors, walls and ceilings are used to really try and provide an optimal acoustic environment for the building occupants. The next concept is materials, which aims to reduce human exposure to hazardous building materials and also to promote safer alternatives. Second last concept is the mind concept, and the overall goal here is to support and improve the cognitive and emotional health and well-being of those spending time in WELL spaces. It looks at HR policies, mental health promotion and support, sleep support, and help around substance misuse and quitting smoking. Community is the final concept I'm going to cover today. It looks at topics such as new parent and mother support, providing employees time off to complete charity work, organising flu vaccinations, and also designing buildings to accessible design standards to ensure that everyone can use the building. And a bit more general information on WELL. WELL is global. It's designed to be used by any project. It's customizable and can be tailored to align with the project's wellness strategies and goals. And as we've seen, it has real impact. Every WELL registered project is appointed a WELL coaching contact. They are the point of contact for the project throughout the whole certification process and are there on hand to help guide the project team through the entire process. IWBI has developed crosswalks, which are intended to identify synergies between WELL and other green building standard systems to try and streamline efforts for projects who are pursuing more than one rating system. So if a point is achieved in one scheme, it may translate to a point achieved in another as well. And a little bit of background on the development of WELL. The WELL Building Standard launched in October 2014 after 6 years of research. In 2017, the WELL Community Standard pilot was launched. This focuses on the urban planning aspect and how we can impact on health and well-being between the buildings. And then almost 2 years ago now, we released the WELL version 2 pilot. This is the new version of WELL, which includes the latest research, feedback and learnings from WELL version 1. I've got some stats for you now. Globally, we currently have just over 4,000 WELL projects registered with 280 certified. That equates to 509 million square feet across 58 countries. And we also have over 10,000 members in our WELL community across 84 countries. In Europe, we are looking at getting to 1,800 projects, 58 of which are certified. That's over 115 million square feet across 24 different countries. And at present, the leading markets in Europe, number one is the UK. As you can see, it's got over 1,300 registered projects, 10 of which are certified. We have 113 projects in France, 82 in Spain, 63 in the Netherlands, and 44 in Italy. And our top 5 emerging markets in Europe are Poland, Sweden, Ireland, Hungary, and Germany. So lastly for me is a little bit of an intro into performance verification. Every well project is certified through on-site testing, and for version 1 projects, GBCI, the Green Business Certification Inc., which is the same organisation that administers the LEED certification, was the sole provider of on-site third-party performance testing services. Performance verification is really the big difference between WELL and a lot of the other building standards. During performance verification, the following is tested. We'd look at air quality, water quality, lighting, thermal comfort and acoustics. And now under the WELL version 2 pilot, we've opened up the market to include performance testing agents and organisations, some of which are listed here. They are trained by GBCI and can be contracted directly by the team working on the WELL project. And we currently have 35 WELL performance testing organisations globally. So now I'm going to hand you over to Cohen and Marion to talk more about the performance verification process and their experiences.
Okay, hi everybody. This is Koen, my colleague. My name is Marion van Harten, and we are from GGMR, a consultancy firm in the Netherlands. And we are WELL performance testing agents. And this day we would like to tell you more about our experience of last year. We followed the course in Paris, and from that day in February 2019 to now, we did 3 projects. For 3 projects, the WELL performance verification. Enter?
Yes.
Okay. Laura tells you more about the background of WELL, but what for us, DGMR, very important is that we are a consultancy firm in health environment, and we believe that a good environment is also good for the people, because we spend more than 90% of our time indoors, and our experience is that that there could be a lot of complaints about the healthy environment, and that it gives a lot of stress to the people. So that's why we believe in WELL, that when you design the building very good, then it could be influence the health and well-being of people. And that's what you also see, that most of the influence factors are the physical and the social environments. And WELL gives a lot of themes to design the building very healthy, like air, water, nourishment, light, movement, thermal comfort, sound, materials, mind and community. That are the themes. And for the design, every theme has different kind of features, like 14 features for air, for example, 7 for thermal comfort and 5 for sound. And all that features consist of preconditions and optimizations. And the preconditions are the features you have to be met, and optimizations, that are features you can choose for. And the good idea from WELL is that you have to be choose from all the themes to get a label. As you can see, there are 3 different label standards, levels, silver, gold and platinum. And the silver label is the label which consists of all the preconditions. And for example, platinum is the label which consists of 80% of the optimizations and 100% of the preconditions. And maybe you think, is this very difficult to get a WELL platinum level? Well, from all other buildings we did this year, that are 3 buildings, 2 are going for platinum. So we believe that it is possible. It's not it is high. You have to do very much for it, but it is possible.
Now you see here the timeline of the certification process. First, you're going to register your project on WELL Online, and then you're going to choose with your project team which features you want to apply in the building. And when you have choose all the features, you start with the documentation for all the features, and you send all the documents to GBCI, and then when the final documentation review of GBCI is approved, you can contact us, the performance testing. And in the next slide you see the process of the WELL certification by the performance testing. So first we review all the documents, and after we review all the documents we make a plan for the performance testing on site. And when we have done all the measurements and spot checks on site, we will analyze the results, and when they all approved, we send the documents to GBCI for a final check, and when they are approved, you get the certification. But when we think the measurements are not approved the requirements, we're going back to the development team, and we have to do retest till we think the requirements will be met. Now we see again all the concepts, they're already explained, but for all these concepts we have to do WELL performance testing, and for all these concepts in green we have to do measurements on the site, and for water and for air we also do a lot of lab analysis. And all the measurements and spot checks must be done according to the WELL performance verification guidebook, which applies all measurements, heights, accredited laboratories and testing protocols. And now we're going to tell about you what the benefits are of the performance testing and what you have to do.
For air, that's the first theme. You have to measure the air quality for different kind of gases and particles in the air. In the WELL Performance Guidebook, they describe how you have to measure, but also how much measurement positions you have to be taken. And it depends on, as you can see in the table, on the project area. So if you have a very large project area, you have to take more measurements. But if your building consists of more floors, then you also have to take more measurement positions. We measure the PM 2.5 and PM 10, carbon monoxide, ozone, nitrogen dioxides, formaldehyde, and 18 different VOCs. And some of them we can measure by ourselves and analyze by ourselves, and others we can measure it, but we have to analyze it to an external qualified lab. As you can see now, we have this is from our own building, DG Mer in The Hague in the Netherlands, and we did the WELL performance verification. And as you can see, every floor has one measurement position. And you see it's one with two measurement positions because sometimes you meet different kind of pieces. But we choose to measure the most common spaces in this building. This is an office, so you can understand that why we choose for an office employee room for two people. GBCI would like to have control of the process, and that's why you have to take a lot of pictures from what we did. So we have to take pictures of the height of the measurement equipment, but also, for example, we have to take the measurements from the calibration process, and also where the measurement equipment is standing in the room or in the building. And maybe you ask yourself why it's important to measure the air quality, because we don't see it, but there's a lot of research done last years about being healthy and in relation to air quality. And as you can see, we show here two pictures. One is the left one, the regular office, and the right one, it's one of the offices we've been for the WELL certification. It's office at Olympic, And we can show you the test results. The left one is the regular office. You see very high concentration of TVOC. And on the right one you see the levels of the irritation levels. You see the levels of Edge Olympic. Yeah, I see that's a red line. It's limits the irritation limit of the World Health Organization. It's falling down. It should be higher on the number of 200 micrograms per cube. But what you can see, if you understand this, is that at Olympic, the air quality is lower as the irritation level of the World Health Organization, but the most regular office are so much higher. So you can understand that it gives it could be a lot of irritations for the employees who are working in a bad office in comparison with the people who work in a better office.
We also have to measure lighting. We have to measure visual lighting and circadian lighting. For visual lighting, we make a grid on one floor of 9.3 square meters, and for every task on that floor, you have to measure 3 times. So you see, it's a little bit different than on my screen, but you see different colored dots, and that's the place where we have to measure. You measure the illuminance on the serve desk, and where the people are sitting. So when some people are walking in the corridors, you measure on the place, on the floor, on the corridors. But when people are sitting behind the desk, you measure the height on the desk. And for circadian light, that's the light that's on the vertical plane. So you measure the lights what's coming on your eyes, and that is for the day and night rhythm of your life. For water, we do 35 analyses, which will be done by laboratories. And before we are going to test, we always let the water flow for 30 seconds. Addition to that, we do also spot checks on site. We measure the dimension of the sinks and also the leak detection systems. For thermal comfort, we measure dry bulb temperature, main radiant temperature, and relative humidity. This we do for every type of room in the building. And you see on the next slide that we have to make pictures for everything, but we also measure on 3 heights. We measure on 1 height for the feet, and 1 height for the middle, and 1 height for where your head is. So there's also different for standing people and for sitting people. And as extra, you have to monitoring the whole building for the indoor climate. So people are walking in the building, and on every floor you see a screen. What's the thermal comfort in the building?
And one of the last measurements we did are the measurements for the theme sound. The measurements for sound are only optimizations, and it consists of the background noise, the reverberation time, and sound barriers. And in Europe you can sound barriers compare with sound insulation. Sound is very important because a lot of people cannot get a lot of stress by too much sound when they are on office or in school, for example, and especially in open offices. And that's why we measured in open offices always for every 46 square meters, so that every position in an open office has a low level of background noise. The reverberation time is very important for rooms where speech is very important. For example, conference rooms, in an office, or when you see a school building, then you have a classroom or auditoria. And the sound barriers, you can measure all the sound barriers in the building which are necessary for the well-performance test. In the well-performance verification guidebook, they described also the rules where the measurement equipment has to be. And well, you can see on this slide our measurement equipment. It's an omnidirectional sound source and the sound meter with a microphone, and all of them has to be the good I forgot the word. I'm sorry. Every sound measurement equipment has to be the good rules from the guidebook. Last but not least, we also make a lot of pictures, photos from spot checks, which we don't have to take measurements for it, and that are community movements and minds, for example. And the area of these spot checks are very wide. You can choose between a lot of options. So we take some pictures for this presentation, only to give you an idea of those spot checks. For example, for minds, you can think about a power nap room or a chair. You can see on the left photo. But also you can think about height adjustable desks and chairs or screens for movements, because it's very important when you work the whole day that you have a good position. But for the movement theme, you also can think about a gym. When you are on your work day, you would like to choose to relax or to do other things as working in your office, you can go to the gym, for example, or you can go by bike to the office. And movements in the movement theme, you get extra points for example, bicycle stands or the bike repair kits. So there's not that the level for go by bike to the offices should be very low. Last but not least, well, it's also going about the food. We call that nourishment, and it is going about the healthy foods. For example, the fruits and the vegetables. And as well, performance testing agent, you also have to check if all of them are on site. But you also have to check if the prepared food on site, if they give you the good information about the food. You can see on the right picture that the sandwiches, they give you more information about allergics, macronutrients, for example. Or sometimes you also have packaged foods. They have to give you more information about calories, for example. But you can also think in nourishment not only about the food by itself, but also the possibilities to eat the food. You can see on the left picture below the furniture, so like a nice or a bowl or a plate, for example. But because not on every regular office they have stuff like that. But what they also would like to see is information and pictures about food which is good for you. You can see a carrot or a tomato, the tomato picture. But sometimes you can also think about information about drinking water, for example.
Now some people in this room maybe think, how much will cost a well certification and a performance test? On the screen I have an example for a building in the Netherlands. when you have a regular building in the Netherlands, a Class B building, and you're going to do well, these are the additional costs to the well certification and performance test. And for this example, it's an office of 20,000 square meters. And for when you want to do well silver, it's like 15 euros per square meters, or for gold 28 per square meters. And for platinum, it depends on which features, but it's 40 or 45 euro per square meters. And now is the question, how much shall productivity improve to earn back the investment of well gold, in this example, in 5 years? Now, in this same example of the building of 20,000 square meters for the well gold certification, the turnover per employee is 100,000, and the workspace per employee is 20 square meters. Then you see that when you want to pay back the well certification in 5 years, the productivity must improve by 0.1%. So that's not so much. But when you want it to earn back in 1 year, you see it's only 0.5% to improve the productivity. And this is an example for well gold. Now, how much productivity will be increase when you make a better building? I have some examples, and that's are examples of a worst case scenario in the Netherlands, Class D building, to a very good building. So in the Netherlands, a Class A building. Then you see that you can, for example, when you can influence the temperature, this will productivity effect will be 4%. So we just say you want to the payback time of well gold in 1 year you had to 0.5%, and now you see when you can influence the temperature, it's 4%. Dus I think well is a very good standard, and maybe in the first time to start up, it's it's expensive, but the payback time is very short. DJMAR has also made an app, the Productive Building app, so you can see in your own office what can productivity improve when I change the lighting or the air infiltration or the acoustics. And this is an app. It's very basic, and but it gives an idea for how much time how much productivity you can increase your own building. And also at the end of the tool, there is some question about how many square meters has an employee and how much what is the turnover. So you can see how much you can pay back. And that was the end of our presentation. And now it's time to start with questions, if you have that. And I'm going to the last sheet, and we're going to sit here.
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for speaking today. That was really interesting, and the productivity figures at the end I think are fascinating. That you can really regain that cost so quickly is absolutely amazing. It's really impactful system. So thank you so much for showing us that. Does anyone have any questions for myself or for DJMAR here today? No? Did you guys want to have anything, any last words or anything? Oh, apologies. Hi.
Hear me? Hi, my name is Ozak. I'm from a BRE, the Building Research Establishment, with the Construction Innovation Hub just around the corner. My background is in smart buildings. And so where do you see sensors like IoT sensors fitting in with the well building standard? Is it going to, are there moves towards accepting data from sensors that you deploy in buildings, or for now, is the focus just on the measurements that you've shown in your presentation, where it's done by accredited individuals, basically?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. We're definitely moving towards sensors, and under the Well version 2 pilot, sensors do feature within that. So the performance testing, the on-site real-time measurements are still a very important part of the certification process, but we also have features that relate specifically to sensors, sensor placement, sensor management, and really capturing that data. I think it's commonly known that high-quality sensors can be a huge expense for an organisation. So as the market kind of shifts towards this collecting data and moving towards these higher quality sensors, Well is pushing in that direction by suggesting that projects implement sensors in their buildings, capture the data, but they're not held to the actual results from the sensors, if you see what I mean. So if you're finding that your CO2 levels are getting really high, you're not going to be penalised for that, but it's really shifting the mindset towards sensors and capturing the data and having someone monitor that. We're definitely moving in that direction.